that's the kind of beauty of all of this is, or beauty and quite frankly fun, is being able to put the right solution in place
Hmm.
for the right situation for the business. Like what are you trying to achieve? What's your goal? Let's get a strategy in place and let's figure out a way that's going to get you those answers. Like websites, like everything else, it's never once and done. It's always going to change with your business, and probably for something for more advanced, they've been in analytics for a while.
Hmm.
The check for them is to go back and actually review what you're actually tracking, and is it consistent with what your business is doing now. Because if you parked your analytics, oh yeah, we've got it set up, they're on the shelf, I go in and look at them every month, but are you actually tracking, are you actually measuring what you need to measure now for what your business is doing? So that's a not necessarily downside, that's a hiccup that more established businesses can run into, is they forget to adapt or go in and change what they're tracking. What questions are we answering? Are they helping us now for what we want to
Right.
do for that? So it's always changing. You're always asking different questions. You've got environmental, you've got the
Hmm.
world, the business world outside of us bringing in changes. Our customers change,
Hmm.
what we want to offer changes. And so like we've got all of these external factors to that are shifting and moving and whatnot. And so yeah, we should always be going in and reviewing, what question am I answering, and do I need to change it, and do I have things set up in order to answer those questions? No, let's go in and tweak things so that we can now capture the answers. If you stay on top of that, if you're proactive, like you go in and you schedule time on a regular basis to do that quick review, it doesn't have to be extensive, but go in and review what your plan was, are things set up, then you can stay ahead, you can stay on top of those changes rather than going, oh, okay, like we've been doing this for a year now and we're collecting nothing about it. I guess
Hmm.
we're behind the eight ball on this one.
Gotcha.
So yeah, just being proactive about monitoring your plan and adapting it to what your business changes are. It will pay off. The little amount of time that actually goes into doing that will pay off exponentially.
Well, this is how I know we have a lot of conversations because you are leading into my next question and you've partially already answered it. But before we do that, I'd like to kind of go back to what you just covered. Again, these are things that we're not just talking about being intentional. These are things that also allow you to start to forecast. And forecasting is allowing you to be able to set realistic numbers. It's allowing you to be able to say, well, I know that I can expect to be able to get this results when I do these things. Being able to answer those questions is really, really valuable. And it doesn't really matter what business stage you're at. It just matters that you're able to answer the right questions in that moment that lead you to the next set of questions that you need to be able to cover. One of the things that we've had a lot of conversations about is every level brings a new set of challenges. And I know from a strategy standpoint, I know how many different businesses that I'll speak to, and they'll say, yeah, I hit like a growth stall. I don't know what's going on. And I start to look back and I'm saying, okay, well, you've been in business for 5 years, 7 years. When was the last time you reviewed your brand messaging or your strategy for how you have a conversation with your audience? And they haven't. They basically said, well, it was going so well that I didn't think that I needed to change anything. And as you and I both know, that people change. I'm not who I was yesterday. You're not who you were yesterday. Our daily experiences change what our expectations are. So we have to be able to check the numbers. We have to be able to look at how we're engaging with the audience and make sure that we're aligning with their expectations. We have to make sure that what they're asking of us aligns with our business model. There's so many different reasons to be able to look at the actual metrics and the analytics to be able to ask better questions and have better conversations with the audience. So it's really not just about being able to identify one thing. It's so many different things that you can learn by looking at your actual data and then realizing, okay, well, now that I've got this part figured out, is this something that is consistent? Is it a one off? Is it something that happens seasonally, like you've said? When you can start to forecast when these things come up, then you can start to plan for it. It's great to be able to know. I know one of the first lessons I got in advertising was if you can do good in the bad times, you'll do great in the good times. So I needed to know when the bad times were. So I knew, am I doing good or is it something where it's like, no, no, it's bad for everybody. So it's one of those things where you have to be able to know what you're looking at, read the room in a way to really be able to be intentional, and forecasting allows you to be able to do that. So it's, yes, you want to look exactly where you're at, but those questions are going to lead into things that you're going to want to know coming up next.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the other parts that may get lost is you're not just helping people figure out what questions that they can answer now that would help their business, but you're also giving them the questions that will allow them to start looking forward and
Yeah.
be more intentional and planned. And that is great when it comes to working with third parties and outsourcing things to different people that are doing different tasks. Somebody has to wrangle all of that information and be able to put it in a way that makes sense so that you're telling a story, not just to the audience, but to everybody that matters, all the decision makers. Because not everybody's a solopreneur. Some people have other partners and things that they have to be able to bring in. And if they don't understand what it is that you're doing, then that's where you can have that push and pull. So I think it's really important what you covered. But I will go back to the question, since you partially answered it. For someone feeling overwhelmed by their business data, what's the first question that they should ask themselves? And what baseline metrics should they establish before comparing channel performance?
Would just say go look at your source medium. Like in non-techie terms, go look at what platforms are driving traffic to you and how. And
Mhm.
it's going to be ads, search engines, email, or socials to start with. And then you're going to have a big bucket of direct traffic. It'll be direct. And that's the one that's either people know about you or Google didn't know where to put it. So there's other techniques, there's other things you can do to kind of bring clarity to that. But really, just start with looking at, it's like, go look at how much traffic you have because everybody wants to know that. But really the more important one is what is that distribution? Look at that. And even as a cheat, take a look at that and ask yourself, is this the distribution that I want? So for example, if you've been paying ads, you've been doing ads and your SEO is outperforming your ads, you've got a real bust there.
Mhm.
Or a lot of people go in and they're super surprised to see how well their SEO is working because that is a significant channel that's coming in. But if you go and look at that and say, is this the distribution that I want?
Mhm.
That will then, it's going to automatically lead to the next question is, what do I want it to be? And
Yes.
from there, now you're starting to build out, where am I going to put my efforts
Mhm.
based on things? Or flip side, it's not what I wanted it to be. I've been doing a lot on SEO, or I'm doing a lot of ads and it's not performing. Then you can go back and say, okay, what am I going to do to fix this? Or am I going to shift strategies? But again, it's easy to see how those questions snowball, but they direct what you're doing rather than having to do everything, um, or do nothing at all. You have direction on where you want to put your efforts.
Got it. Okay, well, now let's go back into that for a moment because you covered some things where, like you just mentioned, someone can be doing paid ads and then realizing that SEO is actually performing better. Let's drill that down even more. One of the things that I realize is a lot of people are doing paid ads so that they can learn who their audience is, but they're not necessarily doing anything with that information to be able to increase their SEO, which they might not be putting the same level of budget in, but it could be getting them organic leads. So they're renting an audience and not knowing that well, it's not that they don't know. Sometimes they just know that that's the way that's generating revenue, but it could be something that you're paying to get the reaction that you're getting, but you're also getting that same type of reaction for free through SEO, through your other efforts. So when you mention paid ads versus SEO and knowing what you're looking at and asking those initial questions, I think it's really important to be able to understand what it is that you're looking for. Because sometimes people will put things in front of you and you'll say, okay, well, I don't really know where to start. So understanding that baseline of where is everything coming in from? Where are you seeing the bulk of the sales or the bulk of traffic or the bulk of whatever it is that you're looking for? Like, this is what you're getting the most return on with your effort. And then I would say one of the follow-up questions is, these are the people that I want to be able to do business with for the next year, 5 years,
Yep.
10 years.
Exactly. And if the answer is no, then you know that you've got some shifting to do. If it's yes, I want to do more of it.